Let's do this. We'll do the owl and that's it.
I don't even
We're
know.
rolling. We're rolling.
All right, this meeting will come to order. This is the Sumner County Board of Construction Appeals. It is August 16th at 5 p.m. Stand up and bow our heads. Vice Chair, if you'll lead us in a moment of prayer.
Lord, we just thank you for the time you give us and the blessings you give us, and help us to do the business of the people. But look, give us your knowledge, your wisdom, and decisions that has to be made. Bless our time, Lord, and bless everyone here in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. All right, Mr. Quinn, could you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
What you think about that flag, Barry?
Hey,
Nice.
it's progress right there. That is progress.
You get a permit to hang that up.
Mr. Secretary Todd, could you call the roll?
Yes, sir. Mr. Briley,
Present.
Mr. Roger Smith,
Here.
Mr. Janone,
Here.
Mr. Wally Gillum, Mr. Quinn,
Present.
Mr. Lynch, Mr. Monahan,
Present.
and Mr. Williams here.
All right, we do have a quorum. Are there any corrections to the minutes from July 18th? Everybody's got a copy of those, read through them? All right, no corrections. All right, is there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
We need to approve the minutes.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve our minutes from the last meeting? The motion over here, is there a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved. All right, is there any additions or deletions to the agenda? No additions or deletions? Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda? Got a motion from Mr. Moonham, second over here. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, agenda is approved. Nobody has signed up to speak, so we don't have to worry with that one today. Report of the chairman, I have nothing to report at this time. We'll move on to old business, and Mr. Marshall Wright, you want to take that?
Yes, sir. Last month, we talked a little bit about the adequate facility tax and how it relates to the Construction Board of Appeals and some procedures. I want to speak a little bit more about that this evening. I'll try to make it short and just hit on a couple things that are more relative to what the Board of Appeals needs as far as guidelines with adequate facility tax. The adequate facility tax, if you got your packet, and you'll see where the Private Act was adopted in 1998, so it goes back that far to 1998, and then it was sent to the legislature and they approved the Private Act. And that was done in 1998, and in 2001, the county commissioners revisited the adequate facility tax. In 2002, they revisited it again. In 2005, the county commissioners revisited the adequate facility tax again, and also in 2006, 2007, and 2011. So for since last month, I've tried to comprise the history of the adequate facility tax, and to be honest with you, it's been kind of like putting together pieces of a puzzle. There's been a lot of discussion and voting on the adequate facility tax over the years, from what gets taxed to how much the tax is to be, and other things also, like audits and other things we don't need to get into. But I'm in no way an authority on the adequate facility tax at all. But I spent the last month trying to comprise the history of the adequate facility tax, mainly because somebody brought up about why don't we charge for commercial. and I'm still in the gathering the data stage of that. So I don't have anything really necessary to report on that right now, but I have a meeting with John Isabel this Friday, and I'm gonna report my findings to him, and we'll go over that, and then we'll see where it goes from there. But right now, my understanding is, to the best of my knowledge, that the tax applies to residential and it's 70 cents a square foot. And the tax also applies to industrial and it's 40 cents a square foot. And it gives us guidelines to go by. Because along with the Private Act, they also provide guidelines and procedures, and that's what I want to talk about a little bit this afternoon. In your packet, you should have the guidelines and procedures that was voted on and approved in 1998 with the Private Act, and you should have a 3 at the very top. Does everybody have that? Or is it just my copy?
Nope, we're good.
You have 3? Okay.
Yep.
So the easiest way to probably do this is take that one and the other one that looks almost identical to it, but on the bottom it says page 1 and 2 and putting them beside one another. And that's the comparison I want to make. In 2007, and you'll see the one that says page 1 and 2 at the bottom, it was approved April 16th, 2007. So it was a modification of the one that was approved in 1999. So the one in 2007, in my opinion, would preempt anything dated before that.
Yes.
Okay? Is everybody with me?
Yep.
Okay. There's not very many changes from the original than the one we're using right now. But I would like to point them changes out if you have them side by side.
I got the same one, I got 3. Gotta have it.
You should have one that says page 1 and 2 at the bottom. They may be attached together.
It's
1 and 2 at the
the
bottom?
thing here.
That's right.
Okay, final. They almost look identical. They're
Yeah.
both 2-page documents.
It's in the same packet with 3.
Same page number.
Yes, yes. So if you look about the middle of the page where it says all new single-family dwellings, residential dwellings, and then you go to the sub sentences below that, and it says finished floor basements. Is everybody with me on that? All right, the original says finished floor basements, cellars, and attached garages, whether or not heated or cooled. They deleted attached garages from the 2007. So that they removed attached garages. It was in the original policy and procedures, but it was deleted out of the one in 2007.
Marshall, what number are we on?
Okay, I apologize, Steve. There should be 2 documents, almost identical.
Okay, I got the number 3 here, is that?
Now, go about halfway through that.
These two were together.
Yeah,
So
they're
this
together.
is the one that says page 1 and 2 on the bottom.
You see, April 16th is
Oh,
27th.
yeah, here.
Yeah.
It happens to be my birthday, so
I got it.
Happy birthday, belated.
So where were we in this?
He was talking about the, under all new
Okay,
single
I got
family
it. Okay, I'm
residence.
with you guys. Yeah, thanks.
Let me digress a little bit. The resolution that caused the change in these 2 documents, Resolution 0704-04, says a resolution clarifying the definitions of industrial and residential as set forth in the Sumner County zoning resolution. Okay, that's what we're looking at right now, in the April 16, 2007. That's the changes they're referring to. And the first change you'll find is in the middle of the page where it says all new single-family residential dwelling. The 3rd sentence they deleted attached garages. You'll see attached garages on the original, but you see it has been deleted from the 2007 document. Is everybody with me?
Yeah.
All right, the next one that we'll find is lower on the same page where it says industrial means. They removed from the original document under the United States Government Standards Industrial Classification Manual, in parentheses, SIC code. And they replaced it with the Sumner County zoning resolution. And that standard industrial classification code is a Department of Labor antiquated code. The last time it's been updated was 1987. That's probably why they deleted that and replaced it with the Sumner County zoning resolution, be my guess. Okay, you can flip the page to the next page. About a third of way down, it says, for the purposes of determining what structures or alterations are not taxable development, in addition to the above, the Sumner County Codes Office will include all but not limited to the following. Down at the very part of that section, the same change was made. And it was the United States Government Standard Industrial Classification was replaced with the Sumner County zoning resolution. And that's really all there is on these changes. So if anybody ever comes to appeal the tax, the policy that's dated April 16th, 2007, the one that we just compared to, is the last policy change that I could find from, as referencing the adequate facility tax. So this policy, along with the private act, is what I think we need to use as guidelines for whenever you're making a decision, somebody wants to appeal the adequate facility tax decision. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. So,
You skipped over, you skipped over the part where they changed the 24 months to a 12 month on the
I sure
replacement.
did. That's a good catch. Sure
I'm
did.
curious about that, so.
I don't know why, but I did skip over that. And let's go back, it's on page 2, right in the center. And, yes, and the original says removal and replacement of a previously occupied single-family unit. They had 24 months, that was changed to 12 months.
Probably for consistency,
I didn't
maybe?
have that highlighted in yellow, so I skipped right over it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just another point I'd like to make, and I'm not sure why they did this, but it's stating at the top of the second page where it says many stores, warehouses. Y'all see that? In my opinion, that wouldn't be a commercial structure, but for some reason, it was listed in here as something that we require a tax on.
So they're classify that as industrial?
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
classified as industrial.
They classify it as industrial.
Yeah, that seems a little off.
And that is the only thing that they did that I would say that I would, in my opinion, it would have been in a commercial, but they pulled it out of the commercial and put it in industrial for some reason.
I could see where it would classify as warehousing. Right. I mean,
Yeah.
but I don't know that, how you would market it if you were gonna sell it.
Yeah.
That's it, right at the top.
Interesting.
I guess that goes back to if the land that was built on is industrial zone or not, right? Because according to Sumner County zoning,
I see that, right?
I don't think it would be the zoning classification, I think would be the actual use, because we just went over one yesterday with Josh.
Yeah.
In zoning, that's, they had a blanket residential zoning where there's some sort of industrial use, and they were applying to change it over, but there's this, whenever we, I guess, took some, parcels from a city, it was blanket, rural residential, even though the use was industrial.
Well,
It has a prior,
my issue with that is language in the adequate facility tax originally says that anywhere that business is conducted with the public, correct? Something to that effect, where money's exchanged or commerce happens. This would technically be a mini storage warehouse for people that, when they're rented storage units. So I don't know, if they're classifying it as industrial, that seems a little.
But the legislature put it in there for purposes of this act.
I see.
So that's,
Okay.
that's why it's classified as, it might not be industrial, I mean, it's not industrial for, as we think of it, but it's industrial as to the legislature for purposes of this act. Is that your understanding
For
of this?
some reason, they didn't consider it commercial, they considered it industrial.
Yeah. One other thing, Marshall, I wanted to ask you about before you moved on,
Yeah.
is this attached garage was deleted? So does this mean that on new construction, that particular space, a garage space, is not considered in your adequate facilities tax whatsoever? If it's attached, detached?
Right, if it's attached, they deleted it,
Mhm.
but that caused an issue with some of the people coming in, and we're doing plan reviews on it. And the very last page references that. And you'll see some handwriting in the middle of the page, which shows 15 by 30, one car,
Oh,
30
yes.
by 30, two car.
Uh-huh.
What they did here, and this is before my time, but that facility tax calls out garages as exempt. But what about a combination garage and basement? It doesn't address that. So I don't know if this was administrative decision back in the day before I got here, or a legal decision. But if there's a one-car garage, it's a combination of a garage and a basement, what we do is deduct 15 by 30 from the basement. If it's a two-car garage, we deduct 30 by 30 foot, 30 foot by 30 foot from the basement, and the rest of the basement is in the calculations.
Very good.
That's about all I have, Chairman, if anybody got any questions, but,
Anybody got questions? I think we hit you with everything we had. Oh,
Ever been paid?
As what?
yes, yeah, they're collected, they collected now, if I'm correct.
Before you get a permit.
Yeah, before you get a permit. The
Yeah.
way this process works, when they come to your department to get a permit, that tax has to be paid in order to receive that permit, correct?
that's correct.
Or CO, right? Certificate of occupancy.
If somehow it slips through, hopefully it's caught before the CO is issued. The only two municipalities that collect from themselves is Portland and White House. We collect for the county and the rest of the municipalities.
I guess one other further question, so does any of these cities have an ordinance of their own, for instance, Hendersonville, because I believe the mayor had put out a report a brief while back stating that he received some sort of adequate facility tax there. So, I mean, I don't know how much you know about that particular issue, or?
Well, there was some kind of intergovernmental agreement between the county and the cities. And some of the language, that I've read several times is that if the city fails to verify that the tax has been paid, then they would be responsible for pursuing, the
Okay.
tax until it gets satisfied. But,
Very good, good information, Marshall.
yes, sir.
All right, move on to new business, and Mr. Steve Weiner has a little presentation on Robert's rules.
Basically, Robert's rules, the purpose of having Robert's rules, or any type of rule system, generally speaking, is to provide a fair, organized way to handle meetings. Robert's rules is most commonly used. It's been around, I think, since the 1800s. It's used by most of the boards that I've dealt with when I was in private practice of HOAs and organizations like that. So they're fairly standardized. It's fairly easy to find information about it on the internet and so forth. And what I wanted to do, I guess, I don't know, did you send out an email, did you send out an email about this? I was looking for questions that you all might have for this, because Robert's Rules is so, it's like this thick, right? There's all sorts of things that you could, talk about with it. But the best way of approaching Robert's Rules is dealing with the issues as they present themselves and having me, assist you with it at that time, Every situation is unique, might have a unique interpretation of Robert's Rules that we'd have to apply. But I was wondering if any of you guys had any general questions about Robert's Rules. You have copies that Marshall's office provided you. I have a copy of that in my office as well for a quick reference. I also provided you a print-off that, which is an even more condensed version of the basic points of Robert's Rules. Does anybody have any questions for me about any of this
I got a
stuff?
curious question.
Yes.
We ordered books of Robert's Rules for small boards. Is that different from Robert's Rules of Orders for large corporate boards, or is it just simplifies it, or was it the?
Well, small boards are more informal. That's probably what it deals with. We just adopted, and we didn't adopt Robert's Rules for small boards for this board. We adopted Robert's Rules, the actual full version of it. But it's definitely an option if you all want to explore that. It's more conducive to business such as what would come before you guys, I would say.
So that would have to be voted on?
Yeah, well, I'm not aware of any other board in the county that does that. It'd be up to you guys if you wanted to explore that or not.
Yeah.
Can we review it and maybe go over, not now, can we take it home, study it, if we have any questions?
Oh, this?
Bombard you with questions? Like
Sure, you guys got my email, you all can send me an email anytime, I'd be happy to address any questions you might have about the small boards or Robert's Rules generally or anything like that. I think there might be a portion in here, I looked over this earlier today, and there's a portion about small boards. I can't remember where that was in here, but I remember seeing that in here.
I assume you're asking about whether this is yours or not, Rose?
No,
Oh.
I want to review.
Oh,
Go
sure.
read through it.
Yeah, there's a thing here that says procedure for small boards under other types of deliberative assemblies. I'm not sure if there's a small boards Robert's Rules or not. I've not looked into that. That's, we just, generally speaking, follow the main set of rules, and they're fairly standardized. Like for example, small boards, members don't have to stand up to be recognized. Members, there's a limitation on the number of times a member may ask or speak to a question. Generally, you don't have the motion to call the question at small boards. I know we do, and I've seen it done in full commission, well, not full commission, but committee meetings. There's call the question. That's been done. So
You're saying in small boards, we can't call the question during discussion?
Yeah, you wouldn't normally be able to do that with a small
Okay.
board procedure. But like I said, I've not really followed small board procedure for any of the boards that I've dealt with, HOAs or anything like that. We
Yeah.
just follow the rules generally as they are, and that seems to have been a good fit for the boards that I've worked
Sure.
with. It's just basic stuff, motion, second, you discuss the matter. Once the chair determines that there's no other discussion, they'll take the vote, and then you'll vote on it, and then you'll move on to the next item. It's, for you guys, it'll be pretty standard stuff. The whole idea behind this is just fairness to your fellow board members and just to have an organized way of conducting business. And that's the whole purpose of it, just to provide a framework for that.
Steve, what about moving like item number 3 to item number 1 and?
Well, you would do that, before you approve the agenda. You'd say, I want to move, like when he says, are there any changes to the agenda? You'd say, well, Chairman, I want to add,
Yeah.
delete, move, or whatever at that
And
point.
I apologize, I did that last meeting inadvertently without reading the agenda through, but
But that's when you would do that, for sure.
Point of information.
Okay.
I got a little cheat sheet because I've never done this before. But my point of information is this. Is there any way to take, we can always read the book, refer to things, and even with this, it's a little shorter, but it still is the Magna Carta.
Yeah, it is.
But, so is there a way to create, like I did, maybe you could be helpful with this, something that would be a faster, quicker cheat sheet?
Yes, I've seen stuff on the internet that's
Yeah.
useful. I was looking at today.
Yeah.
There's right here an audiobook, you can get the basics of Robert's Rules, but it's about a 30-minute long audiobook that will pretty much go through.
I got them all here, except that by the time I read to see what I should
There
say.
are charts out there, like, with the
Yeah.
appropriate motions and so
Well,
forth.
yeah, that's
you
what
have
I'm
right
looking at,
there.
but by the time I figure out where I go
Oh,
on
I get
here,
it.
you guys are past me.
Yeah.
I guess you have to have Mr. Hyde, he's been around for a very long time.
Yeah.
We still have to help him out with it.
Ah,
I mean, he's
okay.
been doing this longer than a lot of people.
I'm
so-
trying, believe me, but I.
Yeah, me too, guys.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm way over here having
Yeah.
to do it, so
Yeah.
show me mercy.
Yeah, this is, we're here to assist you guys. We work with, you guys, library board, all these different, county groups to, just make sure that everything flows properly and is conducted in a fair manner that serves the public, So, any other questions? I can look up something on the internet for you and find something, that's workable for
Yeah,
you.
yeah, thank you.
Can you talk a little bit about a quorum and the majority?
Right, quorum, and we have 6 members of this board and 2 alternates. So for a quorum, you'd have to have a majority of members, and that's 4 members present that are not, that's assuming none of the alternates are here. You have to have 4 members, but if a member is absent, like we have a member, who do we have who's absent today, Todd?
Wally Gilliam.
Yeah.
And,
So since he's absent, and you're the first alternate, you can go ahead and step in, so we actually have
yeah,
full slate today. I mean, we have 6 out of 6 members because he'd be the alternate stepping in
Yeah,
for.
well, Wally is actually second alternate, well, we have a couple other.
No, who was the other one who was absent? We have a full member who's all absent.
Brian.
Brian,
Brian,
that's right. That's what I'm
that's
saying. You'll be stepping in for
Yeah.
him.
So if you're short and unique, can you use both alternates if you're that short?
Too short.
If you're too short, you can use
Yeah,
both the
okay.
alternates. And the only time that you would have a situation with a quorum is if none of your alternates are present, and like there's, only 3 people show up. In which case, you couldn't conduct business. You just have to have a majority of members present, and that's 4 of this board.
In that case, when you only got 3 and no alternates, what do you do, just adjourn the meeting?
We can't conduct
We
any
can't conduct
business.
official business, we
Yeah.
can still discuss.
You can discuss
Oh,
things,
yeah.
but you can't like approve minutes. I
Okay,
mean, really can't even approve an agenda. I
No.
mean, with that, I mean, that's, you
Yeah.
can't really do a whole lot.
yeah.
You can get
Order
a cup of
pizza.
coffee or something, I mean, order pizza, and have a good time, I guess.
Yeah,
Hopefully there's no appeals coming when that happens. It should
Yeah.
be full.
Yeah, hopefully.
But, I mean, that's never been a problem in any board I've dealt with. Usually you have, I mean, every time I've conducted a meeting, there's always been enough people present to conduct the business of the meeting.
So if you have to table something, do you have to re-advertise and go through the proper procedure again if something is postponed for the following month?
That's not really a Robert's Rules thing, that's more of a state law thing of talking about an appeal. You'd have to, we have to consult what the state law says on whether we have to repost it or not. And I couldn't tell you, I mean, this is the first appeal here, would be the first appeal for all of us, so we'll all be learning about that. So I would imagine that you would have to re-advertise it though. I mean, that's just guessing. I mean, I can't tell you for sure though.
speaking of which, since we're having an open discussion here, and that's for Marshall, I knew you said we had an appeal working its way through, is there any movement on that, or are we still looking at,
He has applied to appeal before the board. Steve and myself is going to sit down and make sure that we're interpreting that section of the resolution right, and then we'll know for sure.
What happens first is that the building official has to make the decision one way or the other.
yeah,
And then if the person's dissatisfied with that, that's when you guys come in.
okay.
It's my understanding
Yes.
of that, yeah.
All right. Well, that's all good information, gentlemen, thank you. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion
Is
to
there a
adjourn.
second? All
Fastest
right.
meeting ever.
All those in favor?
Aye.